Let me ask you something. What is scarier? A monster that has always been a monster, or a person you loved who slowly became one right in front of your eyes? Because the season 4 finale of From did not just drop a twist. It flipped the entire premise of the show on its head. And honestly, if you did not see it coming, that is kind of on the writers, because looking back, every single breadcrumb was right there. Fatima Hassan is gone, and what is walking around in her place is something else entirely. Today we are breaking down exactly what happened, why it matters, what the show has been quietly building towards since season 1, and what the finale of From season 5 might look like now that the rules of the township have been completely shattered. Stick around. There's a lot to unpack here so for those who just finished the finale and are still processing. Here is the chain of events. The townspeople had a plan. Pull the bottle tree, retrieve the bones, use those bones to potentially break the cycle that has been trapping people in the township for what seems like centuries. Clean plan. Logical. Boyd approved it. Let's go. Then everything fell apart. The moment the bottle tree came out, the sky cracked. And not in a metaphorical way. Daylight just vanished. The earth started shaking. Day turned to night in seconds. And suddenly the monsters were out, which is a whole new problem because that rule about being safe in the daytime, gone. Meanwhile, down at the clinic, Smiley showed up. And Smiley was not there to have a conversation. Marielle Sinclair, one of the more quietly essential characters this season, gets killed. Smiley takes the knife right out of her hand and uses it on her. And here's the thing people are still talking about. Fatima screams at Smiley to leave, and he does. He just walks away, and he says one word. Interesting. That one word matters more than anything else in the scene. We'll come back to it. Marielle dies in the arms of Christy, which is absolutely brutal. And Fatima, who tried desperately to save her and could not, is left standing there having just realized something about herself that she probably already suspected but refused to accept. Then the finale cuts to the caves. Tabitha and Jade are trapped. Boyd, Ellis, and Fatima go in. Fatima buys everyone the time to escape. Her hands elongate. Her face changes. She faces down a wave of monsters as one of them. Here is what makes this hit so differently when you look back at the whole series. The signs were always there. They were just subtle enough that you could explain them away episode by episode. It started after the birth. Fatima gave birth to what turned out to be a reincarnated Smiley, which is already one of the most disturbing things this show has done. And from that point on, something was wrong with her body. She felt cold around the monsters. She could see through Smiley's eyes. Her heartbeat was almost non-existent. The doctors at the clinic quietly confirmed she was not alive in any normal biological sense anymore. And then there was the blood. The man in yellow, operating through the character of Sophia, had Clara give Fatima his blood without her knowing, which is extremely significant, because in this mythology, that kind of act does not just poison someone. It connects them. It brings them into something. The show had also been leaning heavily on a theme all season. The idea that some things are simply outside of human control. And Fatima, more than almost any other character in the township, built her identity around control. She went to the Brundles in Season 1 trying to gain leverage. She built a golem in Season 4. She consistently tried to make the township less terrifying by understanding it and shaping it. Control was her whole thing. And the township took that from her, piece by piece. Now this is the part that the actor Pegah Ghafoori talked about in her interviews after the finale. And she used a phrase that has been living in my head ever since. Villain origin story. She was careful to say she is not calling Fatima a villain, but she described watching Marielle die and being unable to do anything as a hardening. This warm, empathetic, deeply human person hitting a wall so hard that something cracked open inside her. The side of Fatima that could be fierce and formidable was always there. It just needed the right tragedy to surface. And the tragedy found her. What is interesting about this framing is that it actually reflects something much deeper about the show's mythology. The original monsters were also not born as monsters. They were human. They lived in the township, and they made a choice to sacrifice their children in exchange for immortality. They handed over the people they were supposed to protect most for the sake of their own survival. And they became what they became. Fatima did not make that choice. Her transformation was not voluntary. It was done to her through the blood, through the pregnancy, through the slow biological takeover, which raises a completely different kind of question heading into Season 5. Because if the original monsters became what they are through an act of selfishness, and Fatima became one through an act of sacrifice, are those two things the same? Is she actually one of them? Or is she something the township has never produced before? Let us zoom out for a second here, because this show rewards people who pay attention to the mythology. The monsters in From are former humans who struck a deal, their children's lives, in exchange for immortality. The man in yellow was almost certainly the one who brokered that deal. The children who were killed became what the show calls the Angry, these trapped souls who have been crying out for help across every cycle of the township's loop. Tabitha and Jade are the reincarnated versions of Christopher and Miranda, two people who were there when the original sacrifice happened and tried to stop it. They failed, and they've been failing over and over again across centuries, reborn each cycle, never quite able to break the pattern. Every previous cycle ended the same way. The townspeople turn on each other, massacre each other, and the loop resets. The man in yellow literally said that moment, when people tear each other apart, is his favorite part. Now add Fatima into this. She was given the man in yellow's blood. Her pregnancy produced Smiley. She transforms at the exact moment the bottle tree is destroyed and the cycle's protections start collapsing. She is not just a random person who got unlucky. She is embedded in the core mechanics of what the township is. And the question that nobody has a clean answer to yet is whether the man in yellow has influence over her the way he did with Clara, or whether Fatima's particular qualities as a person mean she becomes something that sits outside of his control. Ghafoori herself pointed out in an interview that every monster has its own quirks, its own personality. And she made the point that the monsters in this town have never dealt with someone like Fatima before. As a human, she was already exceptional. Now mix that with whatever she has become. Now add the final layer, and this is the one that makes Season 5 feel genuinely dangerous in a way the show has not quite reached before. The talismans are gone. Sophia, which is the man in yellow wearing a human face, spent the entire finale collecting every single talisman in the township and dumping them into a faraway tree. They are gone, vanished. The one reliable protection the townspeople had against the monsters coming inside at night, destroyed in one move. So heading into the final season, you have no talismans, no bottle tree protections, the boundary between day and night now broken, Elgin dead, Marielle dead, and Fatima now one of the things that comes out after dark. Ellis is going to look out at night and see his wife walking among them. Boyd is going to face that. Donna, Julie, everyone who knew Fatima, they're going to see her smiling that monster smile. And the question is not just whether she can be saved. The question is whether she even wants to be. Here's what keeps pulling me back to this show, and specifically to this arc. From has always been about what fear does to people over time. How it reshapes you. How it either breaks you or transforms you into something that can survive the township. Victor survived. Donna survived. Boyd survived, though barely and at great cost. Fatima's transformation takes that theme to its most extreme possible version. She did not harden by choice. She was remade by the township itself. But in her last fully human moments, she did something remarkable. She used what she was becoming to protect the people she loved. She weaponized her own curse. Whether any part of that Fatima still exists inside the monster she has become, that is the question that Season 5 has to answer. And if the show handles it with the same care it has shown her character across 4 seasons, it could be one of the most compelling character arcs in recent horror television. Season 5 is the final season. The township has never been more dangerous. The talismans are gone, the rules are broken, and one of the survivors is now walking on the wrong side of the dark. If you are invested in this show, now is not the time to look away. Drop your theories in the comments. I want to know, do you think Fatima can come back? Or is she gone for good? And let me know if you caught anything in the finale that I missed, because this show hides things everywhere.